Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is definitely an abnormal type video for me, especially when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. I really wanted to just put this out there because this is something I have thought about a lot recently, and I really just genuinely think that this is something that really a lot of fans would really get into. Kingdom Hearts needs an MMORPG. Now, I know a lot of people would look at an MMO and look at something like Lord of the Rings Online, for example, something that looks old and aged and decrepit and, well, not decrepit, but something that definitely does not look like it has modern graphics, and will look at it and think that this is something that the Kingdom Hearts fans would absolutely hate. However, when I've thought about what the Kingdom Hearts MMO would look like, I look at a lot of different games that are out there, especially within the MMORPG genre, and I genuinely found that there are things within the MMORPG genre, as well as things within Kingdom Hearts, that would honestly fit really, really well to work in the Kingdom Hearts universe. So, for starters, we have to answer the problem of Union Cross. For those who don't know what Kingdom Hearts Union Cross is, it is a mobile game that takes place during the Age of Fairy Tales, and it was discontinued many years ago. With the discontinuation, there raised this problem of the story during this time period. This story gave a ton of background information for a lot of the setup for what we see in the Dark Seeker saga from the games Kingdom Hearts 1 through Kingdom Hearts 3, and it really came down to some of the best story content within all of Kingdom Hearts. And I genuinely think that the Union Cross era of Kingdom Hearts deserves a much bigger spotlight within the grander scheme of Kingdom Hearts, and especially with the latest Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer that came out, where we saw characters from the Union Cross and Dark Road era. It was very important that we do start looking at that era and try and figure out what the heck are we even going to do with this time frame. So I wanted to just sit down, kind of look at the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross era and think about how I would want to make it work as a MMORPG. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about within this regard is the social hub. The thing with MMORPGs is each area has a spot that ends up being like a social hub. This is a spot where the players will get together to join their friends, maybe build groups for raids, build groups for dungeons, different things like that. A lot of that does come from your social hub areas. One of the most notable social hub areas in my own MMORPG experience is Star Wars The Old Republic's fleets. The Republic and Imperial factions in Star Wars The Old Republic have a fleet area where you can go and you can meet up with other players. This is also where you can enter various flashpoints, which work to be the equivalent of a dungeon in the Star Wars The Old Republic, which is a small instance for a small party of people that you can go in, do that content, and then move on. And so when bringing this back to Kingdom Hearts, what would make a better social hub than Daybreak Town? During Union Cross, Daybreak Town was used as the area in which all of the Keyblade wielders across their various unions would get together and they would meet up, they would turn in their lucks. This is where they had their dorm areas, so you could have things like player housing here. There's just a lot of things within Daybreak Town that just attributes itself very, very well to work for your social hub area. So I genuinely think that this would be something that a lot of players would get into for something like a Kingdom Hearts MMORPG. Now, obviously, we have to talk about the elephant in the room of gameplay. What kind of gameplay would people want to see? And obviously, for a game like Kingdom Hearts, you would want it to be an action-style MMORPG. And while there aren't a ton of action MMORPGs out there that do last very long, there is one action MMO that I genuinely really enjoyed the combat for, and I think it would work pretty well to translate over into Kingdom Hearts, and that's for Blue Protocol Star Resonance. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this game because I genuinely think it had a terrible gacha system and I really don't want to give it a ton of praise, but I did really enjoy the gameplay loop and the way that you could use a action style combat that worked out really, really well for things like raids and dungeons. It was a ton of fun to play through when I did, and so I think for an MMORPG for Kingdom Hearts, you would want to utilize that specific setup for your gameplay. Now, a lot of people would also look at a Kingdom Hearts MMORPG and think about what are you going to do for classes, especially if you're playing in a time period where everybody has Keyblades, and so your weapons become very not unique. Well, as we know within Kingdom Hearts, there are many different Keyblades that get used throughout the series, each having their own individual stats and each having their own individual abilities. Some of them will amplify magic and some of them will amplify your strength. And I think obviously with a MMORPG you would have additional stats out there like maybe agility or something like that, and you could utilize those stats to do something where I like to base the builds that you would make your characters off of the Wayfinder trio of Ventus, Terra, and Aqua. Ventus being your person who works really well for your speed type. He could be your typical melee DPS, and then you would have Aqua as your mage, and she could work as either a ranged DPS or a magic support style class, and so you could kind of use magic in either capacity depending on how you would want that set up. And then Terra is your obvious tank or a secondary style of melee DPS. There are a ton of different ways that you can build the Keyblades to set up those specific areas. Certain Keyblades could have abilities like Leaf Bracer that maybe could be renamed for an MMORPG to make it better for healing, or you could have others that give you things like a Combo Plus to allow you to get in an additional attack and be able to do more combos for fights. And that would work really, really well to attribute for that MMORPG, because then rather than needing to focus specifically on classes, you can really allow the players to express themselves with their Keyblades and allow their Keyblades to be the things that really define the characters that they create, in the same way that Keyblades define the characters within Kingdom Hearts. The next thing that I really think would just overall benefit for a Kingdom Hearts MMO is the already pre-existence of Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the biggest MMORPGs out there, and while I don't want to go and just talk about FF14 and all of its glory, because I have a whole other video for that, there is a ton of overlap within the Kingdom Hearts community and the Final Fantasy XIV community, and that right there shows that Kingdom Hearts fans are wanting to play some form of an MMO. They are invested enough into the world of Final Fantasy that they genuinely want to be a part of that world, and they still are willing to continue to play the game and continue to put up with more content and things like that as it keeps getting released. And so with that overlap, you could definitely see the appeal where the Kingdom Hearts MMO would come in. And now a lot of people would raise the question that if people are going to be playing a Kingdom Hearts MMO, would they leave Final Fantasy XIV? And I don't think that would be the case. A lot of players in the MMORPG community do spend a lot of times where they will play multiple different MMOs, and when they are playing multiple different MMOs, they usually have certain content that leads them to being more invested in one over the other. If you're a high tier raider in Final Fantasy XIV, you might be a little less likely to switch over to the Kingdom Hearts MMO, but I think for a lot of Final Fantasy XIV players who are also Kingdom Hearts fans, or at least a lot of the Kingdom Hearts fans who are also Final Fantasy XIV players is probably the better way to word it, they spend more of their time playing Final Fantasy XIV as just a way to enjoy the story and the world that gets built, and so because of that, if they're in between content updates, or maybe there's a content update that they're not necessarily happy with on one end or the other, they can always switch back and forth, and that will allow them to be able to stay invested in both things, as well as hold them over between any of the major content releases between the Kingdom Hearts series, since, you know, obviously Nomura likes to make us wait a long period of time between one game and another. The final thing that I want to talk about within the Kingdom Hearts MMORPG discussion that I have here is the arguably most important part of the MMORPG genre, and that is the MMO, the massive multiplayer online, or the community. One of the things that I have found that I absolutely love about the Kingdom Hearts community is how much they come together for the most ridiculous things, like a game trailer dropping. Nothing brings fans together than being excited over the piece of media that they have, and There's nothing better than getting together with a group of friends and playing a game together. One of the videos that I absolutely love watching, and I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the description below, is watching Prodigy play the Birth by Sleep multiplayer in recent years. That was one of the coolest things because you could see a group of friends getting together and fighting bosses within Kingdom Hearts, and they had a ton of fun. And that is something that I genuinely think the community needs more of, is multiplayer within Kingdom Hearts. I know we had the Chain of Memories duel system or the 358 days over a 2 mission mode, but I genuinely think that something that's a little bit more modernized would work really well. In fact, the community wants multiplayer content so much that they're making a giant mod for Kingdom Hearts 3 to make a co-op version of it that can support multiple different players. This is something that truly shows why I think a Kingdom Hearts MMORPG would go over so well. The community just wants a reason to come together and join up and play Kingdom Hearts. They want to be in the world that they love. They want to fight giant Heartless together. Things that you just can't do in a single player RPG. And as crazy of a fan base as Kingdom Hearts is, they truly and genuinely want to consistently get together with their friends. And I know for myself, this is something that I would jump onto so fast. So let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. What other ideas would you like to see if there were a Kingdom Hearts MMO? Would you want it to be something more landscape-based, that you could explore the various Disney worlds with your friends and maybe find unique secrets around places like Wonderland or Agrabah? Or would you want it to be more instance-based, where your focus is on defeating those giant Heartless, or when you visit the world, it's a lot more focused and mission-orientated like Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2? Let me know your thoughts. As always, I do want to give all the love and the support to my Ko-Fi supporters. You guys are the ones that help to make this channel possible. If you would like to financially support the channel, you can do so down in the description below. There is a link to be able to do so. And with that, that will do it for this video here, guys. You are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we will see you right here in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day.